Hey folks, it's Will here and welcome to this video review of the 2023 Marin Rift Zone. The Marin Rift Zone is a mid-travel trail bike and it sits in a similar space to the Specialized Stumpjumper, the Norco Fluid FS, the Canyon Neuron and the Polygon Siskiyou T. The Rift Zone features 140mm travel fork and 130mm of rear travel, and it's available in both 27.5 and 29-inch platforms. For 2023, the Rift Zone's alloy frame is all new. It features refined cable routing and it also updates to the SRAM UDH dropout. The rear suspension still uses the multi-track design, which is a single pivot platform with a rocker link driving the rear shock. The leverage rate has been made more progressive on the new Rift Zone, and that's said to provide a poppier ride quality with better bottom out support, and it also means that the Rift Zone is compatible with coil shocks. In terms of geometry, the Rift Zone is definitely on the more progressive side. We've got a slack 65.5 degree head angle, a steep 77 degree effective seat tube angle, on our medium-sized test bike, a long 460mm reach, and a short 430mm rear center length. There are 6 models in the Marin Rift Zone lineup for 2023, and prices kick off at 2,599 Australian dollars for the Rift Zone 1. Our test bike sits one step up. This is the Marin Rift Zone 2, and the current retail price on this is 3,399 Australian dollars. We've got a Mazzocchi Bomber Z2 fork and a RockShox Deluxe shock, Shimano 12-speed Dior shifting and 2-piston brakes, and there's a Trans-X dropper post and 2.35-inch V Flow Snap tyres. Confirmed weight for our Marin Rift Zone test bike is a portly 15.62 kilos. Now that does include inner tubes, which is how this bike comes set up from the factory. The rims are fitted with tubeless tape, but you will need to bring your own valves and sealant in order to set the wheels up tubeless. On the trail, we love the aggressive character of the Marin Rift Zone. It feels like a mini enduro rig, and its burly build kit means it's ready for a ton of abuse. The geometry has a lot to do with this, with the high front end and the slack head angle giving you a load of confidence when you're snaking your way down steep descents. It does require you to assume a commanding and forward biased riding position, and this is due to the combination of the short chainstays and the long front center, which benefits from you actively weighting the front end. It is pretty easy to trust though, with the dependable Bomber Z2 fork and the sticky V tires generating a heap of grip. The toothy tread can squirm about when you're flicking through hard pack berms, but the tires otherwise offer masses of grip on loose terrain thanks to their gooey rubber compound. The high traction rubber certainly contributes to this bike's awesome cornering performance. With the saddle drop, the Rift Zone feels compact and easy to tip into corners, and it loves being thrown around. Here, the low bottom bracket and the short chainstays allow you to pull off abrupt changes in direction, while the stubby stem keeps the steering light and lively. The balance point comes quickly when pulling off a manual, and the supportive suspension is ready to soak up all of the mistimed landings you can throw at it. We never actually hit full travel either, with the progressive back end providing a load of ramp to prevent bottoming out. The downside of the Rift Zone's burly build kit is its substantial weight. It feels heavy and sluggish for a trail bike, and it requires a lot of energy expenditure in order to keep it moving on the flats and on the climbs. The soft compound tyres have a lot to do with this, coming in at around 1.1 kilos each. While there's a ton of grip on offer, the aggressive tread and the soft compound put a serious dent into rolling speed. If this were our bike, we'd remove the rear tyre and put it aside as a spare, and put something faster rolling on the back to inject a bit more speed and enthusiasm. Otherwise, the Rift Zone pedals quite well. The single pivot suspension is efficient, and you can feel the anti-squat working whenever you're pushing hard on the pedals. The steep seat angle also puts you in a great position on the climbs, though the high front end and short chainstays do lead to some front wheel wander when things get steep. And because it's quite heavy, we found ourselves regularly wishing for a smaller chainring. While the suspension works pretty well all round, we did find the back end to lack a bit of sensitivity when the climbs were rocky and technical, and we also noticed some stiffening under braking on the descents. We've also not been blown away by the Bomber Z2 fork. It is reasonably sensitive, and it is admittedly a big step up from the Suntour and X-Fusion forks that come on cheaper bikes, though we still found it to be a little bit chattery on rocky trails. There does appear to be some play in the lowers, which may be contributing to this sensation. Now, we recently tested the Canyon Neuron, which on paper shares a lot in common with the Rift Zone. However, these are two very different bikes on the trail. Now, we've put a detailed comparison in the full review over at Flow Mountain flowmountainbike.com. In there, we've also compared the Rift Zone with its bigger brother, the Alpine Trail. So if you're keen to check it out, click the link in the video description below. To sum up, the Marin Rift Zone is one of the rowdiest and most capable trail bikes we've ridden at this price point. It offers a great handling package for high-speed ripping, and we found it to be a load of fun for riding through flowy and jumpy single track. It is heavy though, and the soft tyres put a real drag on rolling speed. If you're after a trail bike for long distance riding, then perhaps look elsewhere. But if you're after a play bike that's got enough muscle to hold up to some seriously hard and fast riding, the Rift Zone is a fantastic option. Indeed, we reckon it's ideal for young shredders on a budget who are eager to develop their skill set over time. Now, as mentioned earlier, the full review of this bike is now live over at flowmountainbike.com. Make sure you click the link in the video description below to check it out. If you've got any questions for us about the Marin Rift Zone, make sure you drop those into the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Tooroo!